Good morning. I am excited to be back here for another live sessions with you. I hope your week has been phenomenal. And so today what we are going to look at is in terms of communication and what is your communication style costing you in your relationship and professional setting. So have you noticed how your communication style affects your relationships and success? I have observed this repeatedly with my clients when working with whether it is couples on their communication or executives on their management style and communication, or even employees learning to manage up through effective communication. It is something that we do every day. There is a difference between communication and effective communication. We all communicate, but whether it is effective or not, that is up for discussion. Effective communication is essential for building strong relationships and achieving success in both your personal and professional life. How we communicate with one another can be constructive or destructive. And when it is constructive and effective, it can prevent misunderstandings and conflicts, enhance collaboration, and increase productivity and efficiency. Otherwise, when it is destructive, it can derail the entire process. So there are several components to effective communication. And since I believe that this is such an important topic, as it truly is the foundations to almost everything we do in life, I'm going to slow down and focus on each component per week. And today we are going to focus on the key techniques for clear communication. So when it comes to clear communication, it involves expressing your thoughts and ideas in a way that is easily understood by the listeners. Effective Communication 101 starts with I statements. I want you to avoid using you statements as much as possible, unless they are followed by something positive, as we discussed last week. You statements often sound accusatory and put the listener on the defensive. On the other hand, I statements focus on your own thoughts, feelings, and experiences. An example: you hurt me when you cancel plans at the last minute. You just don't care about me and how I feel. Do you see how the you statement can provoke a defensive response? Whereas the I statement communicates your feelings, the impact the person's behavior that it has on you, and your request without blaming the other person. So what that looks like is, I feel hurt when the plan is canceled at the last minute because it makes me feel unimportant. I need you to let me know in advance if you need to cancel the plan. I statements are structured in a way to help you express your thoughts, feelings, and needs without blaming, criticizing, or personally attacking the other person. They promote open, non-defensive communication by focusing on your own experiences. So here is the formula for I statements. Are you ready? Jot this down, record this, make sure you have this. Document it and save somewhere. Okay, it starts with I feel, express your feelings. Whatever it is you're feeling. When, describe the specific behavior of the person. Because, explain the impact or the reason. I need or I would like, state your need or request. Simply starting a sentence with I doesn't make it an I statement. You'll probably see me smiling because I've seen this happen almost on a daily basis when I'm sitting with my clients. So in their frustration, what usually comes out is, I feel you're an idiot. Or I think you messed it up. Using an I statement, even when you start a sentence with I, and even use the word think or feel, it doesn't make it an I statement. So in this case, for example, let's say you are speaking to someone who frequently interrupting you. So it would be better to say, I feel frustrated when I am being interrupted because it makes me feel unheard. And I need you to let me finish talking before speaking. So again, simply starting a sentence with an I does not make it an I statement. An I statement must focus on your own feelings, your own thoughts, and your own experiences, not blaming the other person. So now that you have the formula for I statements down, let's dive deeper into the techniques for clear communication. So to have clear communication means being direct and get to the point clearly and concisely without unnecessary details. It will help prevent misunderstandings and making sure that your message is received as intended without being diluted. An example would be, please arrive by 9 a.m. Instead of saying, I think maybe it would be better if you could be on time. And make sure to use simple language. Avoid jargon and complex words to make sure that everyone understands. So instead of saying something along the line of, we need to synergize our operational efforts. It sounds flowery, sounds really nice, but it's a lot. You have to think, compute that, and decipher it. So instead, just say, we need to work together. It's simple, it's direct, there's not much to interpret there. So when it comes to communication, keep in mind, clarity before cleverness. Let me say it again. Clarity before cleverness. Leave very little room for interpretation and assumption by the other person as much as possible. So once you use I statement, clearly communicate, make sure to check for understanding. To make sure that your message is understood. This means asking questions and seeking feedback to confirm that the listener has correctly interpreted your message. This way, you can identify and clarify any misunderstandings immediately. For example, after explaining a task, ask, does this make sense to you? Do you have any questions about the instructions about this task? Or do you have any questions about what I just said? Any of those questions in clarifications would do. Now, in the process of you doing all this, make sure to be mindful of your nonverbal cues. Pay attention to your body language, facial expression, and tone of voice. Your body language can reinforce or contradict what you are saying verbally. Maintaining eye contact and nodding when you are talking shows that you are engaged and listening. Make sure your facial expressions match your words. Smile when you are giving positive feedback. Speak calmly when you are providing reassurance. And use enthusiastic tone when sharing exciting news. Avoid contradictory verbal and body language, such as laughing when you are saying you are angry, because this sends mixed messages, making it difficult for the listener to know which one to believe, whether your body language or your verbal expression, and whether to take you seriously. So let's see how we can put all of this together in its practical application. Using these techniques in different settings, in your personal as well as in your professional. So for example, let's say in a professional, in your workplace. Imagine you are in a meeting and you use direct, simple language in I statements to clearly state your objectives and expectations. So in a meeting, let's say you want to put that into practice. What it would look like is, our goal today is to finalize the project timeline. I need you to enter this data into the spreadsheet by, state the specific time and date. I have serious concern when deadlines are missed because it impacts the whole team. And I need all of us to agree on a realistic timeline. Does that make sense to everyone? And here, you open up for discussion. Any clarifications, any misunderstanding, and again, continue to use the I statement from there. And now in your personal relationships, let's say you are trying to make dinner plans and practicing checking understanding, body language, and putting it in I statements. So what it would look like would be, are you all set for meeting for dinner tonight at the Italian restaurant at 7 p.m.? And while discussing this, make sure to use eye contact, smile, and use warm tone. And you can continue with, I feel really excited about trying this new restaurant, and I would really appreciate if you could make sure to get to dinner on time, because it means a lot to me. So there you can see in terms of using I statement, putting your request in place in the format of I statement there. So when you can clearly and concisely communicate your wants and needs, it helps prevent misunderstandings, build stronger relationship with mutual trust and respect, reduces conflicts. This improved communication enhances teamwork and problem solving, whether in your professional setting or personal relationships. And ultimately would be increasing productivity and efficiency. Effective communication is the cornerstone of successful relationships and collaborations. I can't say that enough. And I have seen this on a daily basis. And guess what all this leads to? Less stress. And I would imagine any of us here probably can attest and can agree with me that we definitely want less stress in our lives. So, put this into practice. I'm going to move over to see any questions or comments that you want to share, and we can open up for more discussion and clarification. Hi, Arobi. Thank you for joining us. Alexandra, welcome back. Lovely to see you again. Cecilia, I believe. Hopefully I pronounced your name right. Nice to meet you. How can you ensure that your message is received as intended when communicating in a professional setting? That is a wonderful question. To make sure that your message is received as intended, use clear and simple language. The more clear and concise you are, it leaves less room for interpretation. And then double check for understanding by asking questions. And provide context for your message, because sometimes context help people connect the dots and put it together. And follow up in writing if necessary, because some of us are more oral processor and auditory versus some people are more visual, and hearing something you can interpret it. When you put it in writing and people read it, sometimes it helps reinforce or clarify what they may or may not have heard. So this really helps mitigate and prevent misunderstanding, and to make sure that everyone is on the same page and that your message is received as intended. How does defensiveness affect clear communication, and what strategies can you use to reduce it? Oh, that is $1 million questions right there. Defensiveness can hinder clear communications greatly, and it causes misunderstandings. It's escalating conflicts and reducing trust. Because defensiveness is a knee-jerk reaction. And what that means is that you are emotionally reactive. You're not thinking before you're speaking, you just react like this. And what that means is whatever is in here that you're feeling and thinking, it just comes out. And when you do that, typically it doesn't come out in an I statement. It would be more in a you statement. Oftentimes, again, as I mentioned, it sounds very accusatory and blaming. So to reduce it, what we need to do is to use I statements to express your thoughts and feelings in your response. Reactive is without thinking or really hearing what the person say. Responding is taking what the person say, think about it, and then compute a response. So use I statement to respond, expressing your own thoughts, feelings, without the blaming. And then in order to do that, practice active listening. We're going to go more into active listening in the following week because it will be part of this whole effective communications. And then maintaining a calm tone, clarify intention, and show empathy, and use positive body language. This strategy can really help create a supportive environment that foster open and effective communications. And I know this takes time to practice. So the first, I would say 1 to 3 things I really want you to consider practicing is really using the I statement effectively, using mindfulness, which you have been with me for a while and we have speaking so much about mindfulness. So slow down, using mindfulness to really practice that communication and that active listening so you're not reacting like this without thinking, and using you statements that will evoke more conflicts. Hi Gail, welcome. Thanks for joining us. Do you have any communication costs sheet? I am not really understanding what do you mean by cost sheet. So can you clarify that, and then I will follow up. What are some strategies for managing and resolving conflict through effective communication? What are some strategies for managing and resolving conflicts through effective communication? Strategies for managing and resolving conflicts, I can't stretch this enough, is using I statements to begin with to express your thoughts and feeling without blaming. Because the you statement, I can tell you 99.9% of the time it comes across as accusatory, which makes the person defensive, which then led you to not feeling heard or understood. And then now we're just going to duke it out using more you statement with more blaming. and this will cause more conflict. So I statements, and I statements. And the idea when it comes to using I statement is that you can focus on your own thoughts and feelings. And so when the person is hearing you, the listener, they can focus on your own thoughts and feelings. And with this, it can help them try to understand what you are saying about your experience and try to empathize and to understand that. And so when you're practicing this, try to remain calm, and the key outcome, the goal is to focus on the issue and what you hoping to accomplish rather than the person and their fault or how they might have screw up, and trying to seek mutual understanding and the solutions that is you would want to achieve. Afia, revolving conflicts to effective communications. I assume, and please clarify in the chat, if it was resolving conflicts through effective communications. So clarify. So I want to make sure that I understand you correctly before answering the questions. But if I assume correctly that you can resolve conflicts through effective communication, it is 110%, if not 1,000%, if there is such a thing, is that you can definitely resolve almost any conflict, if not all, I must dare say, conflicts through effective communication. Hi Mayday, thank you for joining us. It's lovely to have you with us. What role does empathy play in effective communication, and how can you develop it? Thank you for asking that question. Empathy is part of this whole effective communication series, and I promise I will go more in detail on a later day. To quickly answer your questions, empathy is crucial in effective communication. Empathy is about understanding the other person's feeling and experience. And when you start with I statement, it focuses on you. So as a listener, I can try to pay attention to you and what you're trying to say so that I can understand and connect to your feelings and experiences. And when you start using you statement, for example, when I go back to say, you messed up, it doesn't focus on me and what it is that I feel, which doesn't help you to try to understand and empathize where I'm coming from. What I do is I just point a finger and say, you messed up. So in order to cultivate empathy, make sure as a speaker, you need to learn to practice I statements. So that will create a bridge and an opening for the other person to try to understand where you're coming from. Hi Fatima, I am great. Thank you for joining us, and I hope you are well. Well, everyone, thank you so much. I hope that you will put this into practice. Really try it. And again, by practicing I statements, along with clear and concise, simple language, and checking for understanding, you are now 3 steps closer to being an effective communicator. So really try to put this into practice this week, and remember to like, subscribe, and share for more. And I look forward to seeing each of you next week. I hope that you will be kind to yourself and be kind to others. Have a wonderful Sunday. I will see you next week. Ciao!